The northern Tohoku region of Japan is the least tread by tourists, yet it holds a secret for its infamous 3 great festivals of Tohoku. But there's even a few extra festivals to visit as well. Starting in Niigata or Akita, moving to Aomori and finally down to Sendai, there's a track of daily festivals you can plan a full holiday around. I followed this route in 2024 and wanted to share with you the best festival trip you can do in the whole of Japan. Each festival has its own quirks and themes, but at every stop along the way you will be sure of great atmosphere, even better food and memories to last a lifetime. Oh, and the familiar sound of drums and flute comments are all will become a sound you never forget. So where do we start? First, it's worth noting every festival on the list is held for multiple days and some of these change every year. However, be careful because hotels can be in very high demand for these dates, so expect to pay a lot or stay in some strange places. I planned my trip a little late, so I had to stay in some far-out hotels with dubious amenities, and once even had to stay in a random town in Aomori, simply because it was the only affordable hotel in the north of Japan left at this date. You can never plan this trip early enough. Also, most festivals have paid viewing areas, but plenty have free areas to watch if you simply want to turn up. But anyway, let's assume you land in Tokyo. That gives you 2 main options to start your trip on the Shinkansen bullet train, to Akita or Niigata. The first festival on our trip is a little out of the way, so optional, but the famous Nagaoka City Fireworks Festival is held yearly between the 1st and 3rd of August. I actually didn't know about this festival until after my own trip, so I can only be brief, but if you like fireworks, it's definitely worth considering, as it's one of the most well-known firework displays in the whole of Japan. If you choose to visit the festival, the next leg is a 5-hour stint on the local trains up to Akita Prefecture with a view of the Sea of Japan for most of the way, which is a reward in itself as the view is simply stunning and makes going the long way around worth it by itself. But if you want to skip the fireworks show and proceed to the main itinerary, you can get the Shinkansen straight from Tokyo to Akita City to begin. There are 2 festivals we want to see in Akita Prefecture, so I'd recommend making Akita City your home base for a few days. Check into your hotel, then head over to the small town of Noshiro for our first Akita spectacle with the Noshiro Tanabata. It's the smallest of the festivals we'll visit, but no less magnificent. Before the main event, we're treated to a nice little dance exhibition before finally floats stretch over 20 meters into the sky along the regular town streets, which more than makes up for the low number of floats. It's a quieter affair, and while the streets are still full of patrons, it was easy to navigate around and get some good pictures with a great atmosphere. It makes for the perfect first festival of the trip. The venue is within walking distance of the station, so it's easy to come just for the event. But if you have time, Hachiman Shrine and the Kanayu House are worth a visit, the latter being one of the most impressive Japanese-style buildings I've ever been in. Every year between the 3rd and 6th of August is Akita's Kanto Matsuri. Citizens train all year to carry Kanto poles across the streets, the tallest of which measures 12 meters tall. Balancing such an object is a feat by itself, but performers will balance them in increasingly precarious ways that it's great fun to watch the tricks unfold. Occasionally mistakes do happen, but it's all part of the fun and people are quick to help get things back in order. After the event you have a chance to talk to the performers if your Japanese is up to scratch, and otherwise take pictures or even try your hand at lifting a Kanto yourself. I found such a venue the following day while exploring the city with a much smaller pole, but I still struggle to last more than a second. So if you have a go first, it'll really make you appreciate the spectacle you're seeing even more. The streets here are quite thin, so it did take a while to find somewhere comfortable to watch, but after about 15 minutes I found a comfortable place, but you can always get the paid option if you don't want to do this. On the latter days of the festival, competitions are held during the daytime, but if you're on the festival trail, it's hard enough to fit everything in. So once you've seen a day, it's onwards to Aomori. Again, we have 2 festivals to see in Aomori, and they are held around the same time, so you can see them in any order. But the first along the train line is Hirosaki's Nepeta Festival. Held between the 1st and 6th of August and during the day on the 7th, each night a parade of floats with beautiful artwork is led by the biggest drum I've ever seen, as you can admire over 70 floats along the route. Most Nepeta are shaped like fans and surrounded by enthusiastic drummers and dancers. On the last day, the Nepeta are even gathered to be sunk and burned, for destruction ready for new ideas for next year. Beyond the festival, Hirosaki is home to Zenringai, a single street with over 30 temples, and the Fujita Memorial Garden is a must-see Japanese garden in Japan as a truly breathtaking place to wander for an hour. If you visit the local castle, you can also get some pretty good views of the mountain behind. Our penultimate festival is the close-by Aomori City's Nebeta Matsuri. Just like Akita, it's worth making either Hirosaki or Aomori City your home base and getting the train to the other festival. Each night the streets are filled with simply massive floats that are surprising in both individual scale and volume. And what's more impressive is, just like Hirosaki, most of the floats are destroyed each year, ready for new ones to be built, so every year it's worth visiting. I visited the museum for these floats, where only 4 were on display on my first trip to Aomori in 2023, and it was enough that I wanted to see the festival, and it doesn't disappoint. Each float is an art piece by itself, with dozens of details to see that can make visiting the festival on multiple days worthwhile, but for every large float there's a few smaller ones that often form advertisements. I was particularly amused to see a coolish float and some unfortunate soul dressed as a family jiggy. Even Tom and Jerry made an appearance. You can take part in the dancing as well if you wish, so long as you wear the traditional Hanato costume, or if you're Freezer, apparently, which can be bought or rented locally. But personally, I was happy to watch. Again, the streets were very crowded here, but I managed to find somewhere to watch and get a good view. The festival is held from the 2nd to the 7th of August, with every day but the last having a night show, while the final day lets you see the floats during the day for a unique view without their inner lights, and finally at night the finest floats are paraded across the water with a fireworks show to back them up. A word of warning, this day is busy. I had planned to leave my suitcase and a coin locker and find somewhere to watch, but they were all totally full, so I had to carry it around until my evening train. This was my favourite festival and makes it seem very justified to spend the 2 days here, but it does make the timing for our final festival tricky, so it can be easier said than done. Oh, and make sure to try the apples here. They are the biggest and juiciest I've seen in the world and well worth the price. If you have time, I'd also check out the Sanai Maruyama Isekai Special Historical Site for a different look at Japanese history, with buildings from 300 BC and beyond. And the Nebuto Museum is right by the station and worth a look. On to our final festival. The Sendai Tanabata Matsuri is held on the 6th to the 8th of August each year, which is shorter and conflicts with the final days of either the Hirosaki or Aomori festival if you want to see it all. But you can. My personal plan was to get the last bullet train out of Aomori to Fukushima, then onto Sendai in the morning, but you can easily get the first train to Sendai if you're a morning person. I'm not. From there, the streets are littered with thousands of streamers crafted by the local community. Each is a work of art alone, but in a sea of thousands you can explore at your own pace and admire them. Or if you get the train on the 8th like me, be rather quick about it because they get taken down as the sun sets. Local schools and groups make many, but equally so do the shops, so you can spot Konbini coloured streamers and just as many advertisements integrated within, such as products or anime. I personally did enjoy seeing this anime streamer. There's also a fireworks festival on the 5th of August if you manage to make it here for then, but with the other festivals on our route that's almost impossible unless you visit Sendai as a solo trip. There's also plenty of events on surrounding the festival. My own personal exploration led me to Aoyama Park, where there were stalls and an idol/balloon making group, which is the most unique combo I've seen in Japan. And finally, if you scale the walls to the castle ruins itself, there was a light show, a samurai show, and just a beautiful view of the city. And Sendai really is a great place to end up after all these festivals, as it's one of the top 10 largest cities in Japan, and there's plenty to see or places to go. While in Sendai, I absolutely recommend a day at the nearby Matsushima Bay for some of the most stunning scenery in all of Japan, with small islands you can explore, as well as a train ride to the neighbouring Yamadera Temple, a vertical temple of 1,000 steps with stunning views at every corner and a great mountain view at the end. But full disclosure, I visited on my previous visit to Sendai in winter, so some of the results may vary. And once you're done in Sendai, you can get the bullet train directly back to Tokyo, or make one of a dozen worthwhile stops along the way as your time permits. I've got videos on a few of these if you'd like to check them out, but what's important is the 1st to the 8th window is all you have to fit these 5 festivals in, and I wouldn't miss a single one considering they essentially take you along a circuit line of Tohoku's coastline. But while you're there, it really is hard not to find something else to do before you have to move on, and it can make for a very full and fast-paced part of your trip, as time is limited for each festival. 6 festivals, 8 days, plus travel time. Make sure you relax for a day or two in an onsen once you're done. But my trail along the Tanabata Sendai Matsuri is an experience I'll literally never forget. The heat of Japan in summer can be hellish, and it was, but being in the north saves a few degrees, and it is absolutely unforgettable and irreplaceable experience I'd recommend to everyone interested in Japan to try at least once in your life. And if you must come to Japan in the summer, there's no better way to spend it. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below and I'll try my best to help. I also have a lot of other Japan guides and Japan travel videos coming, so subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks for watching and enjoy your trip.